So my name is Teri Mallard. I work at Swedish Medical Center in Issaquah, Washington. In 2019, the American Journal of Infection Control published an article by Cori Ofstead, and it was a call to action for all infection preventionists. They took 69 fully reprocessed scopes from 4 different hospitals, and they found that the microbial cultures grew in over 50% of those scopes. They found this shimmery, cloudy substance, fluid that resembles simethicone. So it was a call to action to remove simethicone from the lab. There's been a lot of studies in regards to simethicone retention in our scopes. What they found is it doesn't matter the concentration. It could be a low concentration, it's still retained in the scope. You can put it down the working channel, it's still retained in the scope. The scope manufacturers all of them have recommended against the use of simethicone because we know it's retained in the scope. And in fact, Olympus has said that it is a risk for biofilm formation in the endoscope. We should not be using simethicone. Johns Hopkins published a study in 2018, and they followed post-endoscopic patients, and they found that post-endoscopic infections were much more prevalent than previously thought. And in fact, this aligns with what Cori Ofstead said in her call to action paper, because she showed that post-endoscopic infections were as high as 4%. Well, if you look into the FDA's MAUDE data, what you'll find is that endoscopy-related adverse events are on the rise significantly. And what they found is that CRE infections have been discovered and reported in gastroscopes and colonoscopes, and there have been CRE-related deaths. The Seattle Times reported that from a 12-member jury that there was 1 case of a patient contracting CRE from a scope. For that 1 death, $25.4 million in total costs. We know simethicone is extremely hard to clean. It just doesn't get cleaned out of our scopes. It's retained in there. Now, simethicone is made of 2 things, dimethicone and silica gel. Now, those 2 items, if you look at dimethicone, it's found in a lot of cosmetic products because it retains moisture. That's what they want it for, and it works. We don't want that in our scopes. It's also used to kill lice. And the reason they use it to kill lice is because it prevents evaporation. And so that water kills the lice. Well, we want our scopes to be dry. We don't want that water in there. We want it to evaporate. So when we use simethicone, we retain water. I'm extremely grateful to Cori Ofstead. She's done a lot of incredible research. She's spoken up against the use of simethicone. She issued a call to action to infection preventionists that don't use simethicone. Remove it from the lab. And I would second her call to action to infection preventionists as well as nurse managers for endoscopy to remove simethicone from the lab. And actually, this is really not the first call to action. It's like the 4th or 5th call to action, because Pentax issued a statement saying, don't use simethicone. We recommend against its use. And then Olympus followed after that, and then Fuji followed as well. All the scope manufacturers have said, please do not use simethicone. We recommend not using it because it can lead to buildup and biofilm and risk of infection.